Action. Hello everyone, this is welcome to Coffee Cup to Enlightenment, and I'm going to attempt to explain what is enlightenment with 3 coffee cups or teacups or whatever. So in this demonstration here, this is you, and who you are can be sort of represented like an eye, and this is the direction of where your eye is looking at the moment. So it's looking here. And what it's looking at, and this is the world. It's looking at the world at the moment. And this represents the mind. And the mind, what it does, it throws judgments out to the world. And when you're young, the mind isn't in your vision at the moment. It's here back in the background. So you can't even really see it. As far as you're concerned, there is no you and mind. You are the mind. There is no separation between the two, and there is no distinction of awareness between you and mind. And maybe when you're young, the mind throws a judgment, hits the world, and then it bounces back and smashes you in the face. And then the only conclusion that you can come up with is that this pain that hits the world, which is a judgment, and hits you in the face, is coming from the world. You haven't looked around yet and seen, hey, it's you're the one that's throwing the judgments. And what happens as you get older, each time the mind throws a judgment, it builds this egoic self up. So it becomes bigger and bigger. And it slowly comes into your peripheral vision. Probably maybe this is the stage of maybe a 15-year-old ego, where the ego is throwing judgments, hitting you in the face every day, and this is happening every day, and then you're just accumulating all this emotional luggage every time it does that. Because what's happened is you haven't looked at the mind and seen that is the cause, that is the one that's throwing the emotions. All that you're doing is just blindly looking at the world with your eyes closed, and you're just experiencing this continual, never-ending suffering, and it appears to be coming from the world. So what then happens is you say, I must change the world, I must change people to stop this suffering. And that is the cause. For where else is it coming from? It must be coming from that it comes from. I cannot see it as coming from anywhere else. And then this is where self-inquiry comes into your life. It happens naturally to some people. Some people like to read books about self-inquiry, and that can accelerate the process. But what happens eventually, the ego gets bigger and bigger, and the intensity of the judgments intensify. You go from making, possibly from this stage, maybe 10 judgments a day and 10 emotions a day, to experiencing up to 200 judgments a day, smashing you in the face, and 200 emotional responses from these judgments. And then eventually the ego is literally right in your face, and you're still blind and can't see it. This would be considered as very, very deep depression. Someone who has a massive, prolific mind that's absolutely smashing the world with judgments continuously, and still you can't see it. And some might say this is quite a critical state, where it's quite, maybe if you were to make a judgment, that's quite dreadful to live in that state. But the more obvious your ego is, the greater the potential you are to see it in the buff, in its nudity. And when it is seen as not you, as the one that's throwing these judgments, and you forgive it in innocent eyes, as the one that's actually throwing these judgments, and then eventually you turn with your eyes, and through it, you see that you are the one that's observing it. And if it wasn't for it, you would not know yourself as this, which is the observer to this. And that's the gift of ego. If it wasn't for ego, if it wasn't for illusion, there could be no enlightenment, as Buddha said. And yeah, thank you.